Sat Sri Akal, everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're breaking down one of the most stressful, high-stakes topics for absolutely anyone migrating to Australia, and that is how your age directly impacts your permanent residency, your PR, visa eligibility. Look, there is so much panic out there about what happens when you start getting older in the Australian immigration system. So we're going to look directly at the facts from immigration experts to demystify exactly how the ticking clock affects your pathway, and honestly, more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
Okay, let's dive into this and get a clear roadmap so we don't get lost in the visa alphabet soup. First, we'll look at the 45-year cutoff, then standard skilled visas, followed by employer-sponsored pathways, DAMA and age exemptions, and finally, your metro versus regional strategy.
So let's tackle the elephant in the room, the big, looming question that triggers just so much anxiety from migrants approaching their late 30s and early 40s. Is Australian PR totally impossible after age 45? The common myth floating around is that once you blow out the candles on your 45th birthday, you might as well pack your bags, because everything, except maybe a partner or parent visa, just ends. It's a terrifying thought for sure. But before you panic, we really need to separate that myth from the actual legislation.
Now, it is absolutely true that 45 is the strict legislative ceiling for the general skilled migration points-based system. The Australian government has basically designed those standard pathways to heavily favor younger migrants. However, as you'll see in just a moment, while this number is a literal brick wall for some visas, it is certainly not the end of the story for everyone. There are branching paths, exceptions, and alternate routes, provided you know exactly where to look.
Section 1. The 45-year cutoff.
To properly navigate this system, you first have to understand the harsh reality of the standard points-based setup. If you're relying on the government to invite you based purely on your point score, that age limit strictly and ruthlessly applies. So the crucial point is this: time of lodgement is the ultimate deadline. Just getting an invitation? That's not enough to secure your future. Experts point out a really vital scenario here. If you get an invitation just 2 weeks before your 45th birthday, you absolutely must lodge the application before you actually turn 45. If you're 44 and 364 days old when you click submit, you've got no problem. But if you cross that birthday threshold before lodging, well, that pathway is completely gone.
Section 2. Standard skilled migration visas.
These are the highly sought-after visas where that age cutoff is entirely non-negotiable. We're talking about the Subclass 189 Skilled Independent, the Subclass 190 Skilled Nominated, and the Subclass 491 Skilled Work Regional visas. These are your primary general skilled migration, or GSM visas. If you're aiming for one of these, you have to know that the very moment you hit 45, these pathways are entirely closed off to you. No exceptions, no special favors. Your points literally won't matter anymore because the system just will not let you proceed.
Section 3. Employer-sponsored visa pathways.
But what if you're nearing that age, or maybe you're even past it? Well, this shifts our narrative into the branching path strategy. When the government's direct skilled point system closes its doors, having a willing employer ready to sponsor you can open entirely new ones. And this brilliantly illustrates a massive trap that so many older migrants fall into. Let's compare the Subclass 482 and the Subclass 494 visas. For the 482 visa, there's no age limit at all. You could literally be 50 years old, find an employer in Metro Melbourne, and they can sponsor you on a 482. But, and this is a massive but, the 482 does not give you a direct pathway to PR. On the flip side, the 494 visa allows you to work for an employer for 3 years and then transition directly to a 191 PR visa. The catch? To start that 494 process, you must be under 45.
Then you've got the Subclass 186 Employer Nomination Scheme. Just like the general skilled visas, the direct entry stream for the 186 generally requires you to be under 45 at the time of lodgement. But crucially, the 186 visa is the gateway to some very specific, highly specialized exemptions. It's kind of the first glimmer of hope for folks who have already crossed that 45-year threshold.
Section 4. DAMA and age exemptions. Which leads us to the solutions phase, for those approaching or already standing on the wrong side of that 45-year cliff. If the standard visas are a locked door, well, this is the key. The ultimate loophole for older migrants is an acronym you absolutely must know: DAMA. It stands for Designated Area Migration Agreement. Put simply, it's a formal agreement between a specific regional authority and the Australian government. Because these regional areas desperately need workers to fill local labor shortages, the government basically grants them the power to offer custom exemptions that you simply cannot get in major cities like Sydney or Melbourne.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that number right there, 55. While the rest of the country strictly enforces the 45-year rule for permanent residency, under specific DAMAs, the age limit for PR can be legally extended all the way up to 55 years old. That is a massive extra decade of opportunity for skilled workers whose employers are located within these designated zones.
Australia currently has 13 of these DAMA regions. For instance, in Victoria, you have the Goulburn Valley around Shepparton, and you've got Warrnambool. Then you have these massive agreements where the entire state of Western Australia and the entire Northern Territory are covered. South Australia also has DAMAs covering both regional areas and Adelaide itself. If age is your barrier, these geographical locations become your absolute greatest strategic asset.
However, it's not just a blanket rule for everyone who moves there. DAMA rules vary heavily by occupation. For example, if you're a chef working back of house where perfect English isn't really a safety hazard, a DAMA might grant you an English exemption requiring only a functional score like a 4.5 or 5. But if you're a nurse, there are 0 English exemptions, even inside a DAMA region. The exemptions are surgically targeted to exactly what that specific local industry needs. Beyond DAMA, there is also the science and academic exemption for the 186 visa, but we really need to bust a major myth here. Being a medical doctor in a Melbourne Metro hospital does not make you a science applicant for age exemptions. To be eligible to get PR over age 45 under this specific rule, you must be highly qualified. We're talking like a university lecturer or a researcher at a dedicated scientific organization. Think of an equivalent to a space agency like ISRO. General medical workers in standard hospitals, they simply do not qualify for this specific age exemption.
Section 5. Metro versus Regional Strategy.
Let's move to and see how this all builds our overall plan, because as we've seen, where you live in Australia is just as important as what you do, especially as you age. A lot of people think they must move to a regional area to secure PR. But if you're in a construction trade, say a bricklayer, moving regional might actually be a waste of your time. The reality is, government planning and major property developments ensure that construction trades absolutely thrive in metro hubs like Melbourne. PR pathways for construction are highly accessible right in the major cities, so you don't necessarily need to uproot your entire life to a regional town just for the sake of a visa.
But for international students, you really have to beware of the regional trap. Many students complete their degree in a major metro city and then they move to a regional area hoping to get an extension on their 485 graduate visa. The hard truth? It's too late. To get those 485 extensions, the requirement is that you must have completed your studies in a regional campus from day one. Do not just move regionally because someone told you it's generally better. Only move if it strategically fits your specific occupation and your age timeline.
So to synthesize all of this into a real, actionable strategy, here's what you must do right now. First, check your true age timeline. Know exactly how many months you have left before you turn 45. Second, align your specific occupation. Does it thrive in the metro, or do you need a DAMA region to bypass those age and English limits? And third, whatever you do, if you're relying on standard skilled or standard employer visas, you must lodge that application before you blow out the candles on your 45th birthday. We've covered the harsh limits, the employer pathways, and those magical regional loopholes. So I'll leave you with this question. Is your current visa strategy truly aligned with your timeline? Don't wait until you're 44 and a half to figure this out. Seek proper, timely counsel, stop panicking, and take control of your PR pathway today. Thank you so much for joining us for today's explainer, and we'll catch you next time.